Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. Follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. And of course, patreon.com/babykangaroomedia for bonus episodes of the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, the Joey Harris Super Show, the Green Room, the Book Club Baristas, and so much more. Just $5 a month for hours of extra content. And if you would just like to support the show in another way, I am on Cash App and Venmo at TheJoeyHarris, or you can support the show at PayPal. Go to paypal.me/cupofjoepod. And before we get started, folks, I just wanted to send out a quick condolence on the loss of Pete Doherty, the Duke of Dorchester. Was a friend of his, or I guess a follower of his page on Facebook, and just one of those just all-time great wrestling characters, you know, enhancement talent from the Northeast. So our thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to his friends and fans and family. As folks, it is time for the summer tradition of a Cup of Joe Wrestling Show Annual, and we have reached annual number 6 today, as we talk about the last Battle of Atlanta. It was a professional wrestling match between Tommy Rich and Buzz Sawyer of Georgia Championship Wrestling. The untelevised match took place at the Omni Coliseum in Atlanta, Georgia on October the 23rd, 1983, which was my dad's 38th birthday, by the way. WWE credits the match as the basis for the Hell in the Cell match. The match took place in a steel cage. However, unlike traditional steel cage matches, the cage had a roof on it. Due to the roof on the cage, escaping the cage was not an option. The match could only have been won by pinfall or when a competitor could not answer the 10 count. Sawyer's manager, Paul Ellering, would be locked inside of his own separate cage. The stipulation of the match stated that Ole Anderson would immediately face Ellering if Rich were to win. For many years, the footage of this match was considered to be the Holy Grail and was believed to not exist. In 2012, the WWE stated that only a few pictures exist from the event. Although it was believed to have not been filmed, the video would wind up in the World Championship Wrestling Library. However, it remained in its original reel and was kept unlabeled. WCW's assets were purchased by the World Wrestling Federation in 2001. And the footage entered the WWE library unmarked. In September 2016, however, the match was uploaded to the WWE network, with the remainder of the event added in 2018. Last Battle of Atlanta, as we stated, took place on October the 23rd, 1983 from the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. There were approximately 10,000 in attendance. We start out with Les Thornton versus Joe Lightfoot. The bell rings. They circle each other and lock up. Drive to the ropes and break. Another lock up and break. Thornton with a cheap forearm hit after the break, and he is admonished by referee Scrappy McGowan. Lightfoot with a wrist lock into a snapmare. He keeps the face lock on and gets a couple of 1 counts. Back and forth. Lightfoot gets another snapmare. Thornton bridges out briefly, but goes back down. They exchange moves and counters. Lightfoot keeps the face lock on, and Thornton does all he can to get out of it. Lightfoot gets a couple of 2 counts. Thornton with a modified bear hug while still in the face lock. Thornton gets a full Nelson on. Lightfoot reverses it. More back and forth. Lightfoot goes back to the face lock. Out of the snapmare again. He gets a couple of 2 counts. Lightfoot with a sunset flip for a 2 count. He gets a couple of head scissors on Lightfoot. He then goes back to the face lock. Do not take a drink every time he does this. You won't get through the show. Thornton shoots off and hits a knee to the stomach and a forearm. He hits more forearms for a 2 count. Lightfoot goes back to the face lock. Rather rinse repeat as needed, I assume. Thornton blocks going over into the snapmare again. Lightfoot finally gets to the snapmare a couple of times. He gets a couple of 1 counts. Thornton back to his feet. He suplexes Lightfoot, who keeps the hold on. He likes that hold, I will say that for him. Thornton with another suplex and the hold is still on. Thornton gets up and hits a brutal looking forearm. He tries to force Lightfoot down but can't keep him down for the pin. They trade roll-ups and reversals. Thornton avoids the drop kick. Thornton with a rear naked choke. He suplexes Lightfoot, who lands on his feet and gets a full Nelson on Thornton. Thornton reverses. They reverse and drop down, and Thornton hooks both legs and gets the pin. They shake hands after the match. Pat Rose versus Bruno Sammartino Jr. This is David Sammartino. The bell rings and they circle each other. They lock up, drive to a corner and break. Sammartino with a reversal of a corner whip and an arm drag into an arm bar. He follows it up with some shoulder blocks and a press slam. Rose rolls out to regroup. Back in, Rose with a side headlock. Sammartino shoots off. Rose with a shoulder block. Back and forth. Sammartino with an arm drag into an arm bar. Rose shoots off again, and Sammartino with another shoulder block. Back and forth. Sammartino goes back to the arm bar. Rose struggles to get out. Sammartino keeps the arm bar on. Rose shoots off and hits a back elbow. He chops and slams Sammartino. He gets a rear chin lock on. Sammartino struggles to get out. He arm drags out of the hold. Rose with a corner whip. He stomps Sammartino down in the corner. They trade blows. Sammartino with a knee lift and a backdrop for a 2 count. He hits a power slam to get the pin. Mask versus mask match. Bob Roop subbing for Mr. Wrestling versus Mr. Wrestling 2. The rules are gone over and the bell rings. They circle each other. They lock up and vie for position. Roop with a top wrist lock. Wrestling 2 comes back with a drop toe hold. Roop backs into the ropes. Wrestling 2 with a front face lock. He gets Roop down, but Roop gets his foot on the ropes. Wrestling 2 with a side headlock. Roop shoots off and Wrestling 2 goes back to the front face lock. Roop puts Wrestling 2 on the top turnbuckle to break the hold, only to get hit with a knee from Wrestling 2. Roop gets a foot on the ropes on the pin attempt. Wrestling 2 drops down on Roop's leg. Roop rolls out to regroup. He gets in, and Wrestling 2 gets a side headlock on. Roop shoots off, and Wrestling 2 comes back with a kick that knocks Roop outside again. Roop hits Wrestling 2 with Mr. Wrestling's crutch. Referee Scrappy McGowan questions Roop about it, but he denies any wrongdoing. Roop gets a 2 count. He goes after Wrestling 2's mask, which fires Wrestling 2 up. Roop hits a clothesline. He gets a 2 count. Roop with a series of knee lifts to knock Wrestling 2 down. He gets a 2 count. Roop puts Wrestling 2 in the Tree of Woe and goes after the mask again. Wrestling 2 fights him off. Wrestling 2 knocks Roop down. He gets a 2 count. Roop with an Irish whip and a running knee. A double count is going. Wrestling 2 fights out of a shoulder breaker attempt and gets a roll up to pin Roop. Mr. Wrestling goes to leave, but McGowan stops him. He takes Mr. Wrestling's mask off, but Mr. Wrestling sinks down and puts his shirt over his head. A fan snatches that off, but he and Roop leave and you don't really see him. NWA National Championship match. Brett Wayne versus Jake Roberts. It takes a while to get started. Roberts lunges for Wayne, who dodges Roberts. They lock up and Wayne with a wrist lock. Roberts shoots Wayne off and he comes back with a shoulder block. Roberts begs off. Wayne with a wrist lock. Roberts gets to the ropes. He whips Wayne. Wayne comes back with a shoulder block and a drop kick. Roberts slithers out to regroup. Back in, test of strength. Roberts forces Wayne down. Wayne tries to get out. He reverses the hold. Robert gets to the ropes. Wayne with a side headlock. Roberts breaks free. Another side headlock and Roberts again breaks free. Wayne slugs Roberts, who again begs off. Wayne goes back to the wrist lock. Roberts with blows to Wayne, who doesn't let go of the hold. He flips Roberts to the mat. Roberts gets to the ropes. Roberts goes out and Wayne grabs him to bring him back in. Roberts gets Wayne caught up in the ropes and attacks Wayne. He breaks on the 4 count before going back on the attack. Wayne gets loose, but Roberts keeps the assault on the leg going. He drops his elbows on the leg. He picks Wayne up, and Wayne hits Roberts and gets dropped. Roberts drops another leg on the injured leg and puts the leg vise on. He then clips the knee. Roberts with a spinning toe hold. Wayne comes back with a shot, but immediately falls down after. Roberts with a single crab. He grabs the rope for leverage and denies doing so when asked by McGowan. He does it a second time, but gets caught when doing it on the third time. Roberts throws Wayne outside. He falls and runs Wayne into the timekeeper's table. He then drops Wayne on the barricade and goes to the top rope to jump on Wayne. McGowan stops him. Wayne gets up on the apron, and Roberts drops him on the top rope. Roberts with a snapmare for a 2 count. He stomps Wayne's fingers. He hits Wayne with a belly-to-back suplex for a 2 count. A punch gets another 2 count as the crowd gets behind Wayne. Mr. Wrestling 2 comes to ringside to cheer Wayne on. Wayne punches Roberts. He hits a corner whip and a backdrop. Roberts avoids the drop kick attempt. Roberts goes back to attacking the leg. He clips it again and puts a leg lock on. Buzz Sawyer and Ole Anderson come to ringside. Roberts drops an elbow on the leg. McGowan gets Roberts away so that he can check on Wayne. Roberts keeps kicking and dropping elbows on the leg. Mr. Wrestling 2 finally throws in the towel, and Anderson covers Wayne with his own body to stop the assault. The announcement is made. Wayne retains his title because he wasn't pinned and didn't submit. Wayne attacks Roberts. Roberts knocks him down again and tells Anderson and Wrestling 2 to bring it. That takes guts. Buzz Sawyer threatens Roberts as he leaves. Wayne gets a standing ovation as he is carried away. TV title match, the Great Kabuki with Gary Hart versus Ronnie Garvin. Hart gets up in Garvin's face before the match, so Garvin knocks him out. The TV title is on the line for the first 10 minutes. They circle each other, test of strength. Garvin kicks Kabuki off. Kabuki attacks Garvin. He chops Garvin down and puts a nerve hold on. Garvin down to his knees. He gets back up and slams Kabuki. He hits a shoulder block. Kabuki comes back with a kick and a thrust. He reapplies the nerve hold. Garvin fights the nerve hold. His arm doesn't fall 3 times. Kabuki bears down on the hold. Garvin fights it. He breaks it. Kabuki knocks him down and reapplies the hold. Hart distracts Scrappy McGowan so Kabuki could bite Garvin. Garvin comes back with some shots. He then bites Kabuki. He pounds Kabuki into the turnbuckle and gets a 2 count. 10 minutes have passed, so the TV title is no longer on the line. Garvin drops a knee on Kabuki. Garvin with an elbow to Kabuki attacks Kabuki relentlessly. Someone yells, "Take his arm off," to Garvin. He does the Garvin stomp to Kabuki. He gets a wrist lock on and bites the fingers. Garvin keeps the assault up. Kabuki begging off in the corner. He comes back with a thrust kick and an elbow drop. He gets a 2 count. Kabuki with a front face lock. Garvin battles out. He drops an elbow for a 2 count. Garvin posts Kabuki 2 times. Kabuki backdrops out of a pile driver attempt, but Garvin holds on to get a sunset flip for a 2 count. Garvin with a scoop slam and the Garvin stomp. He drops another elbow and covers Kabuki, but Hart reaches in and flicks a lighter in Garvin's ear. Damn, that's a new one on me. Garvin goes after Hart and pounds on him. Hart and Kabuki both take shots at Garvin as McGowan tries to break it up. Kabuki does something and gets the pin, but someone was standing in front of the camera, so you don't see it. National Tag Team Championship match, the Road Warriors Hawk and Animal versus Jimmy Valiant and Pez Whatley. Valiant is extremely over with the crowd. Valiant calls the Road Warriors out and calls them bald-headed geeks. The crowd loves it. He and Whatley knocked the Warriors out. They then slingshot them in and ran them together. Faces with the early advantage. Whatley has Hawk in a side headlock. Whatley with a headbutt and a drop kick that Hawk no-sells. That might be a bad idea because Pez was not a man to play. Valiant tagged in. He punches Hawk. Valiant unloads on both Road Warriors. He gets a sleeper on Hawk. Animal comes in to help Hawk, and Valiant puts the sleeper on him. All 4 men in. McGowan gets knocked out. Valiant keeps the sleeper on Animal as Whatley does corner-mounted punches to Hawk. Valiant and Animal fight to the outside, and Valiant throws a chair into the ring. Valiant posts Animal. Bruno Sammartino Jr., it looks like, comes out and starts to count the Road Warriors out. They toss him aside. All 4 brawl as the bell rings. Valiant and Whatley clear the ring. Double DQ, and the faces stand tall after the match. Last Battle of Atlanta cage match. Tommy Rich versus Buzz Sawyer. Paul Ellering is in a small cage suspended above the ring. The crowd loves Rich and hates Sawyer. The bell rings and they lock up. Rich ducks a punch and Sawyer hits the cage. Another lockup and drive to the ropes. Sawyer moves on a punch attempt. Yet another lockup and drive to the ropes. They go out on the apron between the ropes and the cage. Sawyer ducks an elbow and Rich hits the cage and Sawyer attacks the arm. He beats Rich down. He chokes Rich. He gets a wrist lock on. He bites Rich. Then back to the wrist lock. Rich kicks Sawyer down low. Rich ran into the cage. Sawyer bites Rich again. Rich is bleeding. Sawyer runs him into the cage again. Sawyer runs him into the cage a 3rd time and Rich low blows Sawyer. Sawyer is trying to choke Rich. They trade blows. Rich bites Sawyer and runs him into the cage. Rich pile drives Sawyer. A double count is going. Rich is up at 7, but Sawyer knocks him back down. Both men are bleeding and Sawyer has ran into the cage several times. Sawyer pile drives Rich. Rich ran into the cage again. Sawyer batters Rich. He hits a backbreaker for a 2 count. Back and forth. They trade blows on their knees. Rich comes back on Sawyer. Rich with a shot but misses the 2nd rope fist drop and Sawyer moves. Sawyer sets Rich up by the ropes and goes to do a running splash. Rich moves and Sawyer hits the cage. Rich runs Sawyer into the cage several times and gets a 2 count. Sawyer ran into the cage again. He struggles to cover Sawyer, but gets the pin. Wrestlers are in to check on Rich and get him out of the ring. Ellering is lowered from the cage and goes and checks on Sawyer. He tries to help Sawyer up. Sawyer has the infamous crimson mask on as his face is a bloody mess. They get Sawyer out of the ring. Ole Anderson comes out for his match with Ellering. That was a stipulation of the previous match. He batters Ellering and runs him into the cage. Anderson just brutalizes Ellering. Ellering tries to stop Anderson to no avail. Anderson with a series of knee drops for a 2 count. Anderson beats Ellering down in a corner. He suplexes Ellering. He stomps Ellering. His jeans get ripped as he pounds on Ellering. Ellering ran into the cage again. Anderson gets a 2 count. He runs Ellering into the cage and keeps him there. Ellering tries to fight back. He hits an inverted atomic drop. He follows it up with a modified gutbuster. He runs Anderson into the cage. Anderson is now bleeding as Ellering punches him. Ellering stomps Anderson's head down into the bottom rope as an Ole chant goes out. Anderson backdrops out of a piledriver attempt and Ellering barely clears the cage. Anderson beats on Ellering. They trade blows. Ellering ran into the cage. Anderson drops a foot on Ellering from the second rope. Ellering runs Anderson into the cage. Ellering misses a leg drop. Back and forth. Anderson shoves Ellering down and gets the pin. They thank the crowd for coming. Jake Roberts and Ellering attack Anderson after the match. They finally leave and Anderson is helped out of the cage. Final thoughts. While the actual match didn't live up to the hype surrounding it, it was nice to finally see the last confrontation. It's worth at least one watch. You can follow me on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram at The Joey Harris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. Would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia. We will talk to you next time.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.